I have 100%ed Mirthwood. Hello everybody, this is Gamer Gar, and welcome to this fabulous dark, cozy fantasy farming simulator. Let's jump straight into the action.
Home is not where you're from. It's where you find light when all grows dark. And your story begins in darkness. But tonight, in the cool of the old vineyard, the air is still, offering you a moment to reflect on your past.
It is time for the Mirthwood introduction. We are now in our lovely character creator. As I said, Mirthwood is a very dark fantasy RPG, but the game has its charm. The graphics are absolutely amazing. Now the game is more or less early access. It is a bit buggy, but that does not stop us from claiming all of the achievements the game has to offer. In terms of character creation, we're going to select a few cards here that's going to match our playstyle. By selecting Peasant, energy doesn't decrease as much as it should, and by selecting Fighter, we'll do a little bit more damage to enemies using the many weapons we can acquire throughout our Mirthwood adventure. Now combat in this game is very difficult, so we will need all of the boons and perks we can get along the way. Now we start off in a little tutorial area here, and we have to go and collect some ingredients to make a nice cozy dinner for our family. Once we have collected the ginseng and other bits and bobs, we have to choose between cooking a meal for the mother or the father. Now, if we've any sense at all, we're always going to cook a meal for the mother because, we don't want to get on the mother's bad side. We then sit down and have a nice relaxing meal with the family, awaiting the calamity that's about to happen.
The embers of war burn. After all these years, it has finally reached your doorstep. You must reach the docks.
It's now time for the second part of the tutorial here, and we just have to escape from the continent and try to make our way over to what's known as the Free Lands. We then stumbled across a very interesting quest here, and we're actually given a choice. This quest is called A Deserter's Fate, and basically an NPC by the name of Dorn abandoned his posts, but he did so to intercept a rogue group aiming to poison the village's water supply. However, because he left his post, he allowed a lot of the attackers straight into the village, which resulted in huge loss of lives. I had a choice here. I could leave the matter alone, free Dorn, or kill Dorn myself. I decided to free Dorn because I thought it was the right thing to do. Now the game disagrees with this, and I take a -5 to my morality. Now this game has two achievements. One is to obtain max level morality, and the other is to obtain the very bottom level of morality. Because this is going to be our first playthrough, we will actually try to obtain max level, and then we'll try to bring it back down to the very bottom. At the moment, our morality is more or less in the middle.
It came to pass that bitter conflict and ceaseless war engulfed the continent. Those who dared to brave the sea fled. You were there. This is where your journey begins. The man beckons you, and though you've never met, murmurs your name. "Welcome to the Free Lands," he says with a crooked-toothed grin. "Someone's been waiting for you, almost as though they foresaw your arrival."
We then jump on the horse and off we go to what is going to be our nice cozy little farm. We also get to meet this stranger NPC, and we start to find out a little bit more of why we were summoned here and what does this stranger have to do with us. The game is now going to open up dramatically for us. We can basically go wherever we want, but we have to be very careful because if we wander too far, we will meet some ferocious enemies. Welcome, weary traveller. The stranger lifts his head, eyes shadowed beneath his hood. Your journey has been long, and I imagine you are full of questions. First, you must rest, and that is exactly what we're going to do.
After a night of troubled sleep, your thoughts dwell upon your distant kin and the peculiar hooded figure. A blend of fear and wonder churns in your stomach. Where do you find yourself now? And the stranger? They wish to meet at the Hazy Hag.
Welcome to our fabulous cozy farm. We start with a workstation, which is very nice. Using the workstation, we can make a huge amount of different items and artisan equipment. We also have a fast travel to the farm, and as we journey through the land of Mirthwood, we will unlock more fast travel stations. We enter an area here called the North Dell Farm. We speak to Kimberly. Basically, we're looking for some basic tools to start our farming adventures. Fortunately, Kimberly knows of an NPC by the name of Bram, who left the free lands in search of a better life, and Bram left a load of tools in a cart somewhere north of the farm. Before we look for our tools, we also have a look to see what Kimberly has for trade, and Kimberly here sells a huge amount of seeds. Now, some of these seeds can't be grown in spring, some can be grown in summer, fall, and at this moment in time you can't really grow anything in winter. So we just go north of the farm and we pick up a lot of tools here: a pickaxe, an axe, a hoe, a pot, and a scythe. Now, all these tools will come in very handy when it comes to the many farming activities that we can partake in. The first thing we need to do is cut down some trees and collect some wood. Using wood, we can make a lot of stuff that this game has to offer, including a chest. We will need something to store all our valuable supplies in. We can also fix up our home using wood and stone that took us a long time to collect. Now, gathering in this game becomes a lot easier once you start upgrading the tools, but for now, it does take a while. The house does look a little bit nicer. We can't go upstairs just yet. We will need to acquire hardwood if we want to get the second floor of the house active. We take out our trusty hoe, we plant some crops here. We're going to plant some beans and some onions, and we're going to water those up. We're then going to make a cooking pot, and the cooking pot is going to come in very handy for survival. In this game, we do have a hunger meter, and if that hunger meter goes down to 0, our character will pass out and we might lose valuable items. I then saved up enough stone and I made a furnace. Using the furnace, we can smelt ores into bars. I then spoke to the stranger. Now, the stranger doesn't give us any sort of main quests just yet. The stranger primarily just wants us to get acquainted with Bright Oak and get comfortable in our lovely new cozy farm. Eventually, we will start getting some dangerous quests we must partake in. We also located an NPC by the name of Fernfoot, and this is a very special NPC. We will be visiting him throughout our adventure. Every time we collect special feathers that are located all over the map of Mirthwood, Fernfoot here can increase maximum capacity of many of our storages, such as food, materials. Fernfoot also has a very interesting shop here. He sells the white unicorn. Now, it does cost 10,000 gold, but it is an absolutely awesome mount. For now, we're going to go around on foot. Just to the west of our farm, I noticed a building here called Agatha's Hut. We went inside and we met a new NPC by the name of Agatha. Now, Agatha sells tons of decorations that we can apply to our farm, make it look really cool and nice. She also sells some fruit trees. Now, if we decide to do adventuring, and we do a lot of adventuring in this video, you're going to come across rogue bandits like this, and these guys are littered all over the place. And not only are they bandits that we're going to encounter on our travels, we're going to encounter a huge variety of man, woman and beast. That's right, they are mythical beasts. There's wolves, werewolves, wraiths, you name it, this game has them. Now, combat in this game at the very beginning is quite difficult because the weapon that we're using is quite weak, but eventually we will get stronger weapons, stronger armour, and we will become an absolute force to be reckoned with. I just picked up a steel bar there. Steel is extremely hard to come by, so if we get steel bars, we do absolutely keep them, and we use them to get very powerful armors and weapons in the future. I purchased a ton of recipes today just so I'd have more options when it comes to using the cooking pot. I also picked up some vegetable stews as well because my character gets hungry quite a lot, and I didn't want my character passing out, so the vegetable stews are coming fierce handy. I picked up a note here to say that somebody's visiting the graves and they're digging up fresh burials. This activates a quest called Shadow in the Night. Now, this game has an absolute ton of quests. The good news is most quests can be tracked and it will show you where to go to proceed with the next quest line. Now, I purchased a fishing rod today off Kimberly, and this game does have fishing. One of the achievements is to pull up at least 30 fish. The fishing minigame is quite simple. We just have to use our mouse and make sure that we have the cursor inside the green bar at all times. So the harder the fish, the smaller the green bar, and the faster the green bar will move. So it's quite interesting fishing mechanic. As we proceed through the blue meadows, we come across a huge standing stone. Now we can't activate it yet. In order to activate that stone and unlock a very powerful passive ability, we have to find all of the smaller stones that are scattered all over the blue meadows area. As I was exploring the blue meadows area even further, I came across a note. Your desires have led you here, bound to this tree by your own hand and blade. You betrayed our bond for the fleeting moment with my sister. Let us be a testament to the choices we make and the paths they carve. I hope you find peace in the end, even if it eludes me. What we have here is an NPC secured to the tree by a sword, and this is just Mirthwood reminding you that you're in a dark fantasy environment. Plenty of reminders are yet to come, just to give it a heads up. This is nothing compared to some of the quests that we have to partake in the near future. Now, I lost 5 morality, but not to worry, it's a very small loss and it was a nice weapon upgrade. Once we took the sword out, we got set upon by a wanderer. Now, this is just a regular mob. Lots of wonders are in the map of Mirthwood, and they do get easier as we get better weapons. It was time to pick up our onions, and we could also collect our peas. We can now go to the cooking pot with these, and we can make a nice spring soup. And that was another quest complete called Humble Beginnings. Now these quests are just little tutorial quests to get you used to the game. Got a letter from the stranger. He wants me to meet him in the old forest. He wants to show me a couple of things. Why not? Now, we decided to go to the Glass-Tip Foothills just to do some more exploration. We came across our first wolf. These are very difficult to dispatch early on, but we managed to get around it no problem. We also come across our first node here, which is an iron ore. Now, iron ore is fairly uncommon, so if we do see it, normally we'll go out of our way and we'll try to gather it up. Later on in the game, we'll have to make steel ingots, and you need iron and coal to make those. Now, this is our first cave exploration. When we got inside, we took on our first cave walker. They can drop valuable resources, including charcoal. I almost blew myself up there by striking a red barrel. That was a harsh lesson learned. Here's Mirthwood again reminding us we're in a dark fantasy. Edgar, I suggest dawn at the gnarled tree. Bring your best sword and perhaps a cloth to dry your tears when I best you. In victory, Albert. There was then another letter here, and this one says, Albert, you have all the charm of a damp sock. Lady Elspeth fancies you not. It is I who shall win her favour. See you at dawn. And look what happened. They both killed each other. We just completed a quest here for the blacksmith. He lost his hammer that was up in a tree, and he gave us a bow to shoot down the hammer. So we're now up a free bow, which is really nice. And the bow is very handy, especially when it comes to shooting those red barrels, because when they explode, they deal lots of damage to enemies. We came across our first bear. These are ferocious enemies. Thankfully, this bear got stuck between the trees, and I took full advantage of this by shooting lots of arrows at the bear. Now, this did take quite some time, but eventually my patience paid off, and the fact that I have unlimited arrows is absolutely fantastic. The bear eventually died. My whole body hurts. You're going to see that a lot, because normally when I enter combat, I do take an absolute beating. What we have here is a slightly harder fish we now have to pull up. As we can see, the green slider is much smaller and much faster, but we do eventually get there in the end. Now, we didn't actually pick the fish up there because our inventory was full. This happens a lot, so I ate some few bits and bobs, some apples, I took a potion, and I picked up what was a sturgeon, which is basically a rare lake fish. We then did some more exploration, and we visited a place called the Lonely Plains. We went east from the plains, and we visited a place called Greyshore. And just like Bright Oak, Greyshore is another town, full up with interesting NPCs we can talk to, quests to partake in, and lots of goodies to find and steal, of course. But for now, we're not going to do any stealing. We need to increase our morality right up to the top so we can get that lovely juicy Steam achievement. 50 gold for the fabulous Calcerian Gambeson. Now this gives a much needed defense that I badly wanted. It put my defense straight up to 5, it was 0. So the more defense we have, the better. That means enemies will do less damage to us. Now up in Greyshore, it has loads of fishing spots. And I spoke to Garrett there. He gave me a quest to get him all manner of fish around Greyshore. Eventually he gave me a quest to pull up a lobster, and that's probably one of the rarest fish you can get in the game. You can only get lobster by fishing by the sea. Thankfully, there's lots of fishing spots around here. Now this is an attempt for the lobster, and as we can see, it was quite a difficult catch. You also notice that occasionally a green circle will start out really big and it'll very quickly get smaller. If you press the action button just at the right time, you'll get some bonus progression towards your fish. It was time to take on a quest called the Shoreside Menace. It was a giant elite bear. Thankfully, it got stuck within the trees. Myself and a few NPCs from Greyshore teamed up, and we managed to take it down, completing the Shoreside Menace quest. Most times than not, when you slay a bear, it drops a fish, and that comes in fierce handy in the future, especially when it comes to the more advanced quests, where you have to donate specific fish to complete. So we just pulled up our lobster there, and it was time to go back to good old Garrett and have a chat with him, and he's going to give us a nice prize for that. He also lets us keep the lobster because he's stuffed from all the other fish that we caught for him. We did give him a cod and we gave him a herring as well. Thankfully he didn't want the lobster. Now there is an achievement to pull up 30 fish, and that does count towards it. That is more or less a tutorial quest there just to get us into the swing of fishing. And fishing is quite lucrative. Now there's lots of bears around Greyshore, and they're very difficult to deal with our current weapons and armour, so if a bear does attack me, I do run back to town, and more times than not the bear will follow me. If it does, it's as good as dead, as all the NPCs will attack it. We came across another quest here called the Hag of Bleakwood. Now, this hag is basically an elite hag. It has more health than the rest, it also hits quite hard. So I decided to keep my distance, hit it with the bow. I then went for the hit and run tactic where I poked the hag a few times and I ran away. And this seems to work with most enemies in the game. Now we have to watch out because the hag does have a dash attack right there. And if we get into a certain range, you can unleash that attack and it does deal a lot of damage. Once we beat the hag, we got a nice portrait for our house. We also picked up a trinket there as well that gives a small passive bonus if we equip that to our trinket slot. It was time to visit our good pal Clayton the blacksmith. Now, Clayton here had a nice shop with lots of ores inside. The ores were very cheap, and he always restocks copper ore and iron ore, and we always purchase those off lovely good old Clayton. Clayton will also sell toolkits and schematics of armour and weapons, and eventually we do purchase all of those as well, because it just means that we can go back to our base, make an anvil, and we can try to make some of those nice weapons and armour. If we want to upgrade our tools, we have to get the corresponding toolkit. The iron toolkit is only 750 gold, so it makes sense to get that. They do become more expensive later on, especially if we want to get the steel, the silver, the golden tools. It's going to cost us a lot of money, but it will be worth it, because the higher tier our tool, the better resources we can farm. Now I decided to make a kiln here, and I could put wood into this and it would give me back charcoal. We then roamed around Mirthwood here to get lots of iron ores. We also came across a stilt lurker. Now these are quite difficult to fight at the start, but eventually they become trivial when we get better weapons and armour. Mirkwater Marsh is home to many an iron node, so we spend a good bit of time roaming around the lands of Mirkwater Marsh to get as much iron as possible. We come across a desolated church, and inside we pick up some new armour called the Preacher's Vestments, but they pale in comparison to what we have equipped at the moment. We also picked up a letter here that just basically says there's no gods or goddesses here. It's just a place of darkness, which suits the usual Merc routine. We come across our first werewolf. Now there is an achievement to kill 5 of these, and the reason why it only states 5 and not 15 like everything else is because these are quite difficult to kill. What you see here is basically an elite enemy. Now we used the hit and run tactics and it worked quite well. We struck the werewolf just before it did its jumping attack, and that seemed to work out great. We also came across a huge bandit camp. Now, there's lots of bandits at this camp, and I only had 1 or 2 health potions, so I had to be very careful not to take too much damage before I got to the end of the camp where I loot all the lovely treasures. Eventually, I got to the boss bandit, and he was just way too hard, so what I did was, I ran past him. Thankfully, there was no other bandits in the area, and I went straight up to the final zone here in the bandit camp, where I looted all of the goodies. Thankfully, I picked up a health potion. I took that straight away. That's going to give me somewhat of a fighting chance against the leader. I also picked up a new weapon called the Bastard's Blade. This weapon has a 12 attack, which is way better than what I was currently using. So with the Bastard's Blade, we were able to overcome the bandit leader. Victory was ours. Now, all of these mobs generally respawn except the mobs that have yellow names, because these are all quest targets. But this weapon upgrade is going to make our lives a little bit easier when it comes to future progression. Now we picked up Dead Man's Rum there, and that's just a drink that you can buy in most places. It does sell for a lot of money. We just killed our first Spriggan there. They're quite the rare enemy to find. There is an achievement to kill 15 of those. We also came across another cave up in the Bloom Meadows area. Inside we have amethyst nodes. We can't loot them just yet. We have to upgrade our pickaxe. We also came across another letter that reads, "I like it down here, a place I can be truly alone. I should never have come to the Freelands. The people here are just like those on the continent, full of empty promises and petty squabbles. Only here, the shadows are alive with ghastly creatures. And so here I will stay, hidden beneath the earth away from it all." And hid he did, until the cave walkers found him. Back up at Kimberly's trade, we could purchase a huge host of animals. We could also purchase blueprints that we needed to make coops and barns and other bits and bobs. So basically, we had to purchase the schematic before we could make the building. The schematics are quite expensive. We visited our good friend Fernfoot, and it was time to give him some fabled feathers and increase some capacities. I wanted to increase my skill slots for more powerful passive abilities. We can have up to 5 skill slots going at any one time. I also wanted to increase materials, parts, potions and food. Armor and weapons are quite rare, but the rest, we really need to increase those because I kept running out of inventory space. So I purchased a few more skill slots, and the more we level up our skills, the more of these passive abilities we get to unlock. But you can only choose, at the moment, to have 3 out. Eventually we can have 5 out at once. But we have to find more feathers scattered all around Mirthwood. Now I came across the first boar enemy here. These are very difficult to fight, especially if they kind of get you with their spam attack. We also got to level up with melee as well. Now there is an achievement in this game to max out all skills, and the level cap is level 9. But I'm telling you right now, it is one of the hardest, grindiest things you'll ever do, trying to get that achievement with Mirthwood. If you can unlock that achievement, let me know in the comments. Fair play to you. It took me so long to max out all the skills. It was time for the pickaxe upgrade. That's the iron pickaxe. Now the iron pickaxe currently isn't strong enough to get those amethyst nodes, ruby nodes, diamond nodes. We will have to upgrade it again to a steel pickaxe, and then we can start getting the goodies. But it was strong enough to get rid of all these huge rock debris, and there was a big rock blocking the way to another nice little area here in our farm. And inside this area we have lots of little tree stumps that give hardwood when you break them open, but we had to upgrade the axe to an iron axe to break open those stumps. There was also lots of forageables we could pick up as well, such as comfies and other bits and pieces. We're now making our way into a new town, and this is known as Ashmire. And just like Bright Oak and Greyshore, there's lots of NPCs here, lots of quests to unlock, so let the adventures continue. Now to 100% this game, we didn't have to do half of these quests, but I wanted to experience all of the game, so I wanted to do everything possible. I purchased all of the recipes off of the trader. The more recipes we get, the more we can do with many of the different types of food we pick up, especially the fish recipes. I picked up a quest called the Stiltlurker Stalker, and basically, we've fought Stiltlurkers before. Generally just find them outside roaming around the place. This one is more or less the same, but just has a lot more HP. I also came across a broken bridge. I needed 100 pieces of wood to fix it. That's something we'll do fairly soon. Also, when the bridge is fixed, it makes for a really nice shortcut from Grey Oak to Ashmire. It also opens up a little trade centre as well, meaning you can get more stuff in the shops. So we're on our way to get more iron ores, and this is just a regular Stiltlurker. Now it's not the worst enemy to fight, but they can be quite jumpy, and normally when I do fight these enemies, they always seem to get in a couple of hits, and they always seem to drain my health. Now every few in-game days or weeks, a trader will visit Mirthwood, and if you open up your map it'll show you where the trader is. We just got a free ruby there by visiting the trader inside a chest. We're also going to pick up the golden sword diagram. It sounds powerful enough at the time, so I said why not? Might as well purchase it since I had the funds. The trader also sells lots of really cool decorations, but we won't buy any for now. So we assembled the wood, we fixed up the bridge. That was another quest complete, which was pretty nice. If you notice the bottom left, it says the 26th of spring, so we're almost finished our first season. We'll be going into summer soon. Eventually we found the Stiltlurker Stalker. More or less the same as all the other Stiltlurkers, but this one had more HP. Now, we had a good weapon, so it just took a good couple of strikes and we managed to defeat it no problem at all. For beating it, we just get some renown, which was nice, so we pick up some animal fat there as well. Animal fat is used in a lot of cooking recipes. We came across Rowan here. Now, you find Rowan in most of the different kind of biomes the game has to offer, and every time we find him, we can basically take the portrait that he's trying to paint. It just makes for a nice decoration back at the farm. I came across another cave here. Inside, there was a hag. Now, hags are quite difficult to fight, even the regular ones. But once that hag was defeated, we could then loot the cave for all it's worth. Now, this hag dropped some rabbit meat and some fish. Sometimes they can drop pearls, which are really nice to sell. Inside the chest, we picked up a green tunic. It reminded me of Zelda for some reason. You know, maybe it's a nod to Zelda, but who knows? I came across another quest here, where we had to kill someone by the name of Reginald D'Arcy, and it was fairly easy to fight. To be honest, picking up this bastard's blade has made a lot of these early game quests simple to do. Up on the feet, we got a recipe to make a new piece of armour. We can always take a look at that back in the anvil when we go back to the cozy farm. We also reached level 2 in farming for taking some some alcoholic beverage off of a table. You know what? I'm not complaining. I picked up a cool rustic wooden chair from the chest up here at the top of the watchtower, which was pretty nice. Mirthwood has reared its dark fantasy teeth again with a lovely letter. I am so sorry. If you should find me, please kill me, for I will certainly kill you. What kind of a person would do a letter like that? Let's go find out. Now, this person in particular, especially if we're looking at the claw marks on the tree here, is 10 feet up. So I don't think it's an actual person that wrote that letter. But look, we're just going to have to track down this person and see what's going on. Now, I found another letter here that kind of gives a lot more detail. It says, "My darling daughter, my beautiful wife, a life without you is not for me. I will lie here until hunger and thirst take me. Alas, we have found the culprit, a werewolf by the name of Marcus. We had the option to speak with Marcus, which was pretty nice. Do you seek me out? Who are you? Leave this place before my lust for blood consumes me and I consume you." So I decided to have a chat with Marcus, and I said, "Marcus, folk are worried. Folk are fools. They mustn't know what I've become. I must remain anonymous, bound to this life for the rest of my days. I am no danger, stranger. Do not make the mistake of confronting me." I chose the peaceful path, and I said, "I won't kill you. In this, you save only yourself, for I would devour you in a moment. But it is yet the wise choice. Do not speak of me to anyone, lest I come for you under the full moon. Now be gone." And that was a quest complete. We had the option to fight, but I was terrified that I'd take another penalty to morality, so I chose the peaceful option, which worked out in my favour. It was back in our cozy farm, and I decided to move some things around. So basically, if we have the workstation or the furnaces or any sort of item that we make within a certain range of a chest, any materials in that chest we can use without putting those materials into our inventory. So it does pay to put a little bit of effort into how we make up our cozy farm. A deer ran into my house. It got taken out straight away. That's nice deer meat and pelt for us. We also got visited by an NPC by the name of Graham. We greeted him a nice hello, and then it was onwards and upwards with the tool upgrades. We went over to the anvil. It was time to upgrade our axe to an iron axe. We could now start getting some hardwood, and hardwood is very important for a lot of future upgrades that we can do in this game. So all of these small little tree stumps were now on the menu for harvest, and all of these tree stumps will drop lovely pieces of hardwood. So I went around the farm and I collected all of the hardwood that I could. I then went back into the cave up north of where our farm is located, and I made it down to the 3rd floor, which is the very bottom floor that you can go. Now, before I got to the 3rd floor, there was lots of cave walkers that I had to fight to get down to the bottom, but I was very curious as to what was down at the bottom. I used my bow wisely, and any time an enemy went close to a red barrel, I would try to shoot with my bow and detonate it. When I got down to the 3rd floor, there was lots of precious minerals, such as amethysts, rubies. There was even a diamond down here as well. There was emeralds down here too. Once I finished off the hag, I realised I couldn't actually mine the minerals. I had to upgrade my pickaxe one more time to do so. Now, I did get a pearl off the hag, which was nice, and at this moment in time we're converting a lot of our iron bars into steel bars so we can get the next tool upgrade. The sooner I get the steel pickaxe, the sooner I can start getting some real good materials. The steel toolkit cost a whopping 2,000 gold, but we needed it. We needed to upgrade the pickaxe as quickly as possible. We also found a stranger. He sent us a letter a while ago to meet him at the ruins here in the old forest, so I felt that I was ready now to take on the next main quest. The stranger wants us to go into this cave and basically find an artifact. And that's all he's going to tell us for now. So off into the cave we go. Let's see if we can pick up this artifact, and let's see why the stranger has chosen us to take on these perilous quests. Now this is the first of many main quests that we will have to undertake in order to 100% the game. As such, the enemies in this place, they're not too serious. You just have the usual cave walkers, and that's kind of it. Now there's lots of gold nodes in this location. We do come back here later on with a much better pickaxe to reap the benefits. For now, we'd have to skip those and just motor on. Now the artifact is fairly well hidden inside this cave, and it did take me quite some time to actually find it. Now once we find the artifact, we're going to get quests to find even more of these, and there's 4 of these Varin artifacts in total. We also come across a letter that states, "So here we shall lie, entombed in our own home. We have been cursed, struck down by nameless ones. So too, now shall our names vanish." So it's a very interesting piece of lore, and there's actually quite a nice story to this tale of Mirthwood. It is quite dark and grim, but it's also beautiful. So we return from the dungeons and we speak to the stranger. He's quite impressed that we have found the first artifact. He tells us to keep hold of that artifact and to look around the map of Mirthwood to see if we can unearth 3 more before seeking the stranger out again.
Relics and dark magic. Such things would have been dismissed as mere fantasy on the continent. Here, the very air feels enchanted. The land heavy laden with history and sorrow. Perhaps finding the relics will illuminate the past and reveal more about the Varin, your lineage. Yet much hinges on the word of the stranger.
So we're doing more quests here now at the moment. This quest is called In the Wolves' Den. Basically, we just have to bop on into this cave and wipe out some wolves. And there's 3 wolves in total. They can be quite the menace for starter equipment, but because of the weapon that we had, it wasn't too much of a hassle to wipe these wolves out. Now these wolves, if they get a jump on us, they can deal substantial damage. Our armor rating wasn't there quite just yet, but we managed to get the deed done, and that was In the Wolves' Den completed. There was a chest in this cave with another steel bar, so nice. More renown and more morality ratings for us. There was also a letter in this cave as well that read, "I was sure it would be safe to sleep in here, but I hear them coming. I cannot leave now." And you saved me. We also wiped out another werewolf there too, which was nice. We're very close to getting the kill count to 5 on those, and that'll be another achievement in the bag. Now I came across a location here at the very bottom right hand side of the map of Mirthwood called Grimrock. We couldn't go inside. It says, "In agreement among all the people of the free lands, Bright Oak, Ashmire, the Crossroads and Greyshore, the road to Grimrock is to remain sealed until further notice. The horrors within must be left alone, and no man or woman should enter for fear of what lies beyond." Now hopefully an update will be released very soon and we can enter Grimrock and see what all the fuss is about and what nasties we get to fight. Now we picked up a lot of steel bars back at our lovely farm. I also opened up the anvil to see what kind of tools I could craft. We're going to go with the steel pickaxe. This means we can now farm some silver ores, and we can also farm all of the lovely minerals that we've had to bypass during our cave explorations. So we're going to get emeralds, rubies, silver ores, amethysts, diamonds, you name it. We're going to pick them up, no problems at all. Now we can keep these and use them for crafting recipes, or we can sell them and make loads of money. Now because at the time I was fairly new to this game, I sold most of these. The diamonds and emeralds and rubies, they sold for loads of money, and the more money I got, the better. As I was exploring the glass-tipped foothills, I noticed a tree stump that was blocking a path that I could take. I got rid of the tree stump and came across a chest that had the Winter's Bite diagram. Now we end up making that weapon, and it's probably one of the strongest weapons in the game, which was really nice. I also found a house here in the middle of nowhere, and it has reminders: talk to the moon, check the soup, find my spectacles, avoid the echoes, he started arguing back, and count the shadows. I didn't know it right now, but this NPC by the name of Hermie ends up being my best friend. Beside Hermie's lovely house, there was a cave. Inside was a Varin artifact. But first, we're going to clean out the cave using our trusty steel pickaxe. That was another ruby in the bag for us, which is really nice. There was also a bear inside this cave as well. Now, I wasn't confident enough at fighting bears single-handedly, so I ran around to the other side of the cave and I lost aggro on the bear, which was nice. Picked up the amethyst, and I managed to get another steel bar. I was so happy with that. And I also picked up another Varin artifact, which was very nice indeed. I decided to upgrade my house yet again. I had the hardwood and I had the stone, so we could now unlock the second story of our lovely house. Up here we have 3 rooms, we have a hallway, and we have 2 bigger rooms, which could be bedrooms or storage rooms. Eventually I do fill up these rooms with decorations and make the house look really nice, really aesthetic. I also put in some stone floors as well, just to make it look a bit nicer. I also wanted to experiment with all of the floor textures to see what each texture looked like. So we're now smelting up silver bars, because if I upgrade my pickaxe to a silver pickaxe, I can start farming gold ores, and gold bars sell for a lot of money. I also wanted to make the Winter's Bite weapon. I had the steel bars and the silver bars to do so. It gave me a whopping 30 attack power. I also fixed up the boat just to the north of Greyshore. It was 100 pieces of wood. Now that the boat is fixed, we can actually venture on over to an island here called Blackwater Isle. And the more locations we discover, the more survival XP we get, which was great. I picked up a diamond over here, which was nice. There was also lots of little tree stumps that I could hit with the axe to get even more hardwood. Now, there was a letter here, and it read, "Beyond the gate was our favourite spot, where the world seemed to pause just for us and no longer go there." So this is just, good old Mirthwood again baring its fangs, reminding us that we're in a very dark and grim game, and it's very, very rare that we come across a good positive story. Now, I wanted to get into the lighthouse to light the brazier. That was the quest, of course. However, the door was locked. We had to find the key, get up into the brazier, and light it up. I found a cave, but there was a letter just outside. Here we discovered the old cave. Neither of us liked it very much. Too dark, too cold. But even here your laugh could warm me, as it always did. It was a nice cozy letter, but I'm just dreading to find out what happens next. I found an NPC by the name of Old Man. "Ahoy, you will forgive my surprise at seeing another human out this far. Are you an adventurer? Perhaps you are here to relight the brazier. I can only assume this is why you have come." I then asked the old man if I could help him in any way. He said, "There's no help that you could offer me, for the circle of my life is already complete. I wish you great fortune and great happiness." I then asked who he was, and he replied, "Just an old man of no great stature or significance. Where I once kept the flaming light, I do so no more." I then asked, did he have a key for the lighthouse so I could light the brazier? His response was that he believed it's further back in the cave, where days ago he wandered, something gave him fright, and he dropped the key in panic and his belongings, and he ran back here to the front of the cave. Before we decided to venture into the back of the cave, I noticed a letter on the table there, so I decided to give it a read. "My sweet Edric, where shall we go? I do so wish to feel the breeze on my skin. Oh, that we could spend our days on the coast, never in want for the sea air. You have given me all I could have wished for in this life. I will see you tomorrow, my love. Eleanor." So before we could get the key, we were stopped by an elite hag known as Ethel, the sea hag. Now, Ethel, just like every other hag, was just a usual normal hag with more HP. We took Ethel down no hassle at all with our new weapon. Now, this weapon makes mincemeat of more or less anything we come up against in the game. It is an absolute ferocity of a weapon, and nothing will stand in its path. We get some cow's cheese and we find the lighthouse key, which was really nice. We could now enter the lighthouse and we could light brazier. There was also a chest up here as well, along with another letter. So the first thing we did was read the letter. "Ah, the lighthouse, a place as dear to our hearts as any. How many evenings we spent here, hand in hand, watching the fiery sun sink beneath the great sea." It was such a nice cozy letter. I opened up the chest and I got a health potion, another diagram to make some armour, and I got a ship painting which would make a nice decoration for our house. I now decided to light the brazier, and that was the quest updated. We now had to return to Joan over in Greyshore to let her know that we lit up the brazier and that we met the old man as well. Now, Joan was concerned about the old man, so she gave us some food and told us to take the boat back over to the island and make sure the old man was alright. And we did just that. But of course, this is Mirthwood we're playing. The old man was nowhere to be found. There was a letter, of course, I have made my way to the edge of the sea. This land has been good to me. As I have been rich in life, so shall I be rich forevermore. So we decided to venture forth. We can now open the gate and take another boat to a new island. Upon entering this new island, we came across a grave. We also came across the old man and a journal with a lovely sweet poem. The tide still whispers soft and low, though none can match your gentle glow. I sailed the seas, both near and far. You were my guide, my northern star. The winds will carry me one last time to where your light, love, still shine. Though I have sailed this life alone, to your arms I now come home. It was a beautiful journal by the old man, and that completed the mariner's tale. It was really sad to see the grave, but at least the old man gets to join his wife in death. I suppose. And that, believe it or not, is one of the happier endings in Mirthwood. It was now time to venture through the old plains. Lots of boars to wipe out, lots of chests to open, lots of feathers to find. And of course, there was a lot of locations that we still haven't found. This game is actually quite big. There's lots of limestone we can get around here as well. Now, to my knowledge, limestone is only used to upgrade your house, to make it look a bit different. So you can have limestone floors, for example. We wiped out a couple of more werewolves there as well, and there was a feather hiding up there in the corner. That was a nice pick. We came across a woman here by the name of Morwen, and she wanted us to go into this cave and clear it out of all the bandits. There was a lot of bandits in this cave, along with the boss bandit, but we had the Winter's Bite. These bandits stood no chance against us. The only thing we needed now was just better armour and a huge amount of healing potions. If we had those, absolutely nothing in this game would stand against us. Now, once we had all the bandits beaten, we took our time and we looted everything we could out of the cave. There was lots of minerals to get. There was diamonds, rubies, amethysts. There was lots of silver ores as well, which was nice. There was a couple of cave walkers, but nothing serious. Once we left the cave, I decided to upgrade my bow from a crude bow to a hardwood bow. I mean, if we want to get 100% on this game, we will have to max our archery skill. That means a much stronger bow will be a great benefit to us. I decided to take on a bear and a wanderer single-handedly. I now had a pretty good weapon. There was no reason for me to scurry on back to a village and pray to God that the villagers would help me wipe out bears. It was time to face these things head on. The bear had a rare fish. It had a salmon. That was a pretty nice pickup right there. I then ventured forward, went up the ladder here, and I came across standing stones. This is the foothill standing stone. And of course, to activate this, I'd have to find all of the smaller stones. We also came across Rowan again, and he told us a bit about Window Rock. And of course, Rowan is going to give us a decoration for our house. So I went around Window Rock and I found all of the small standing stones. I then activated the big one, and as a reward, I got a skill card. Now, we can equip up to 5 skill cards at once, and the skill card I got was Alchemist, and it just means that if we take a health potion, it's going to give us a lot more health back than what it would usually give, which was very nice indeed. I then went down to Bleakwood to find all of the small stones around here. I was now on a quest to basically complete all of the standing stones, because that would give us a Steam achievement. I also wanted to get all of the powerful passive skills as well. As we can see, Bleakwood is located at the very south of the map, and it's quite the nasty place. It's got some real tough enemies such as wraiths. Another standing stone completed. The skill card this time was 9 lives. It gave us a chance to survive a fatal strike. That would come in handy against certain enemies. The next standing stone was the Murkwater Marsh, and when we completed that one, picked up a skill card. This one was called Strawman. Crops can take a little bit more damage. We managed to pick up all of the Varin artifacts, so it was time to meet the stranger in Ashmire and push the main quest forward. Not all of the artifacts were in caves. Some were literally just lying out in the ground in the middle of nowhere, so it wasn't too hard to find them all. Plus, they were marked on the map as well. So the stranger wanted us to follow him to a shrine, and this is going to be the next big portion of the game. There's basically 4 shrines in total, and if we want to access the portal to go into these weird worlds, we would have to offer these shrines items that they wanted, similar to Stardew Valley's community centre, if you're familiar with the game Stardew Valley. The first shrine here was called the Forest Shrine, and if we wanted to open up the portal to the shrine and get in to find a special artifact, we were going to have to offer up all different types of forageables that can be found around Mirthwood. Now thankfully, we have been doing a lot of adventuring. We did have a lot of these forageables already, just not on us, but we did have them back in the farm. I also received a letter here from someone, and it says, "You do not know me, but I know of you. My name is Alara, and it is my desire to speak with you." So Alara is basically an elf, and she lives up in the mountains, and she will explain what's going on with the main quest.
With no more room for mysterious figures in your life, this inquirer has at least given a name. Alara, along with a key. From its knowledge of the stranger and the shrines, you must journey to the slopes of the glass-tipped mountains to uncover more.
Now, I wasn't in any hurry to complete the main quests. I really wanted to savor this game. I wanted to experience everything, so I did more adventuring. I came across an NPC by the name of Arnie, and basically, bandits took his daughter from him, and he wants us to go wipe out the bandits, and hopefully save his daughter that's still alive. Now, this is Mirthwood, and at this moment in time I thought to myself, surely the daughter is dead. But, to my surprise, she was alive and inside a cage. I was absolutely delighted. Now, we had a choice. We could free Jane, send her home, require Jane's coin for her freedom, or take Jane's coin and leave her to rot. I decided to free her and send her home because I figured this would give me the highest morality boost from the quest. I also came across a new village here called the Crossroads, and just like all of the other villages we found, it's full of NPCs, quests, and other goodies. Came across a guy here named Milo, and he wants us to go to the local tavern and pick him up an ale. Now, I didn't know if he wanted a dark ale or a light ale, so I just purchased both just to make sure I was going to complete the quest. I had lots of money on me, so it wasn't too much of a hassle. I spoke to the tavern owner, his name is Bogo, and he wanted me to investigate strange occurrences of highly valuable items just appearing in people's homes. So that was the next big side quest we get to do. Before we venture forth, we're going to upgrade our armour. I came across a nice piece here called the Bandit's Brigadine. I equipped it straight away to give me a 10 armour rating. It was time to take on more standing stones. We just completed the one there for the plains, which was nice. As a reward, we got a nice skill card that will help us with our charisma skill. Negative interactions are less impactful. That will come in fierce handy in the near future when we try to level up our charisma to the maximum level of 9. We're then going to go back to our cozy farm, and we're going to upgrade our axe to a steel axe. Because it is now a steel axe, we can now cut down the large tree stumps, and these will give us even more hardwood. The more hardwood we get, of course, the better. We completed another standing stone up here in the Storm Reaches coast. We got the Cardio King. Stamina drains at a decreased rate. Now, stamina isn't something that I generally have issues with, so that's probably one skill card I'll never end up using. Deep in the heart of the glass-tipped foothills, we came across the mountain shrine. We had a quick look at the offerings that was needed to open up the portal to progress the main quest. All of the items there are fairly simple to get except for the lobster. That is quite the rare fish, but not to worry. There's lots of opportunities to fish one of those up, and we can even make fish traps, and they can help us get a lobster as well. Now, we have been all over the map at this stage. We have visited every biome, but we haven't visited all of the areas that every biome has to offer. But we do have the majority of items needed. Next up, taking a look at the Bleakwood Shrine, we needed one of each kind of high valued mineral. A diamond, a pearl, an amethyst, a ruby, and an emerald. I actually had all of those except a diamond. Now, I knew of a few locations I could go get a diamond, but I would have to wait maybe a number of days or weeks for it to respawn. There is also a chance, though, that we might be able to find one inside a cave that we haven't found just yet. Lots of caves in Mirthwood. Because we had our upgraded pickaxe, we're going to venture back into all these caves, and we're going to collect as many minerals as possible. We just got our very first level up there in archery, and when that happened, it just dawned on me that we only get skill ups for archery if we kill someone with archery. It doesn't matter how many arrows we shoot at an enemy, we only get archery XP if the enemy dies from the arrow. So the best way to get up archery is to weaken the enemy with our mighty melee weapon and then finish him off with the bow. Came across a funny letter here. Please let me use the loo in peace, just once for the love of God. Imagine having to come all the way down here just to remain unbothered. Was someone absolutely bothered this person, and it didn't end very nicely. It was time to upgrade our pickaxe to a silver pickaxe. Now the game is going to really open up with this upgrade because we get to farm all of the gold nodes. and the lonely plains have an absolute ton of gold nodes we can farm. We also came across the Berserker boar, and there was a side quest to wipe this boar off the face of the earth, and we just done so with style. That's the Berserker boar quest complete. More renown and morality for us. We also spoke to good old Milo, and we gave him a light ale. He was absolutely delighted with that, but he wasn't finished there. He's now asking us for a Medville mead. Now we can actually buy one of those from Bright Oak, which is the very first town we ventured into, so it's just a matter of visiting all the towns, getting all the different types of beers, and going back to Milo and giving him those requested beers, and that'll kind of complete the quest for us. I also picked up a Vinter's Vintage, just in case he asked for that also. It's better to be safe than to be sorry, right? So it was time to fix up the forest shrine. We had all of the forageables needed. We can now enter the portal, and this is going to bring us into our very first location. Inside here we have lots of Spriggans, which was a godsend, because one of the Steam achievements was to wipe out 15 Spriggans, and it is quite the rare enemy. So it was nice to encounter 4 or 5 Spriggans inside here, just to kind of get the kill count up with that. We also came across a letter here, and it says, "I have finally found it. This must be where Cyril and Alara began their journey of creation. The air here holds a great emptiness, as if the world, once brimming with potential, was abandoned to become a shadow of what it might have been. It hangs dormant in the void, poignant reminder of wasted possibilities. What became of those who dwell here, and what of the other worlds touched by their power? They must be stopped. Cyril and Alara's unchecked influence risks too much." Now that was a letter left by another elvish god by the name of Duend, and Duend ends up being more or less the final enemy that we get to fight. We also came across Godfrey here, and Godfrey is worried about his winery. Someone is tampering with poor Godfrey's wine. It is up to us to investigate his winery and find out who the culprit could be. Now, the culprit could be one of 3 people. It could be Godfrey's wife, it could be Bram, Godfrey's guard that was hired, or it could be Godfrey's son Emmerich. The only way we could find out who it really was to search around the winery and investigate all of the spots that the quest told us to check out. We also spoke to Bran as well to see if there's anything suspicious. We spoke to Emmerich too, and Emmerich says nothing above the norm, but he does state that Bram has been hovering around the cellar a lot. We also checked out the bard here that says these bards have been tampered with. I also had a chat with Godfrey's wife, and she states that maybe it's the wolves. Maybe they've evolved to a state where they can tamper with the wine. Now, personally, I don't think it was the wife, Eloise. I think she's innocent. I think at this stage, it was either Emmerich or Bran that has tainted the wine. Now, I did find a stack of elderberries here, and it says a bowl of elderberries along with the note. It's not half bad. This post at the manor, the family noble as they are, treat me decently enough. The pay is better than that of Bright Oak or Ashmire, that's certain. Shame about the lack of free wine though. So, I went back to Godfrey, and I had to decide on who I think could be tampering with the wine. I don't think it's Bran, because he's very thankful of the role he was given. So all that was left was to blame Emmerich. And Godfrey agreed, and Godfrey states that maybe it's because he hasn't been given Emmerich the time that he needs to give his son. And Godfrey felt angry at himself for not giving his son lots of personal time. So maybe now this quest will turn around the family and everything will be a nice and happy ending. Something that Mirthwood rarely gives. Speaking of happy endings, here is a nice jolly ending here. We just gave Milo the Medville wine. He is extremely happy with that. And look what he asked for next. A Vinter's Vintage. Well, didn't I have it on me? Because I had a feeling he would ask for more different types of wine. So it was really nice that I was able to pick that up as well in Bright Oak. Once I gave him that, he asked me for one last wine. It was called the Dead Man's Rum. Thankfully, I also had one of those on me from going into a bandit camp. And that was the quest complete. The last thing he says is, you know, a real good... I ever told you about the fish. Oh wait, the lady. Ladies. It just doesn't make sense what he said, but it's just funny. And that's what I love about Mirthwood. Despite the game being dark and grim, occasionally you'll come across some weird events that just make you laugh. So about that quest we picked up earlier about the person that was dropping valuable items in people's homes, we found their hideout. The person's name is Treya, and there's a letter here from her mother to say that she's really proud of her. Now, we're going to talk to Treya, and we're going to find out why she is putting valuable items into people's houses. And basically, Treya wants everyone to live a comfortable life. So she feels that if people are really struggling, she's going to put high valued items in their homes so that they can sell them on and get some money. And then Treya tells us of her backstory, and it's quite grim. Basically, Treya's family get wiped out by a gang of bandits. Treya, she wants to get revenge. So we are tasked with tracking down the bandits and wiping them off the face of Mirthwood. But first, we are going to upgrade our axe to a silver axe. It just means we can get some more hardwood at a faster rate. Then we go back to the Glasstip foothills and we are going to wipe out these bandits that killed Treya's parents. Sweet revenge. Bram is the main bandit leader. He did not stand a chance against my weapon. We get some raisins, we get a cool trinket there, and we picked up a helm as well. But it's not as good as the helm I'm currently wearing. Ah, the rush, it is finished. May the bastard enjoy his time in hell. So Treya is quite satisfied that we have wiped out the bandits. We are now going to visit Ilara and find out what is up with all of these crazy elvish gods. Gamer Guard of Velora, my heart lightens at your arrival. Rare is it that I receive visitors here high in the mountain's entrance. I am Ilara, some call me Sea Gale, High Elf and creator of Iris, amongst many worlds and wonders. So we get to ask Ilara a ton of questions about what on earth is going on. Basically, Ilara and the stranger that we've been talking to, his name is Siriel, and Siriel and Ilara are lovers. And they had a baby girl. Her name is Anya. And there was also a third elvish god by the name of Duwend, and three of them basically went around creating worlds. But eventually Duwend grew jealous of Siriel and Ilara's love, and he didn't like the way they created worlds. He wanted to put a bit more potential into these worlds, make them a bit darker. He wanted species to thrive, he wanted species to survive. He wanted species to understand what it meant to live every single day. He didn't want boring worlds like the worlds Ilara and Siriel were making. So one day, Duwend pays a visit to the location of Bleakwood. He uses ferocious dark magic and he casts a curse upon the land, creating ferocious monsters. Ilara and Siriel then bind him to this world so he can't travel to other worlds and do the same. So Duwendi is now trapped in this world and he's basically locked inside a dungeon, and we need to go and kill him. But before we can do that, we have to offer up items to all of the 4 shrines, collect all 4 binding stones, and then reach Duwend's lair and wipe him off the face of the earth. Then we will more or less save the world, save the day, and be the super renowned hero that we were born to be. And we can only do this because we are of Varin blood. No other regular mortal can wield the precious Varin artifacts and get the job done. Now, we just opened up a chest back there. We picked up a really cool elvish helmet. That gives us a very nice armor rating. We also collected more gold ores, and we're looking at the solitary shrine here as well, which requires 5 of every ingot. The big challenge here wasn't the gold ingots, it was the steel ingots, but we do get there eventually. I purchased the schematics for a chicken coop. I wanted to get some animals on the farm and experience what the animals would be like. Now, all of the animals will be named after the GamerGuard channel members. So if you are a channel member, brace yourself. You could be called after a chicken or a cow or a pig, or God only knows what comes into this farm in the near future. So let's purchase a rooster, which is a male chicken. We're also going to get a leghorn chicken, which is a female, and we're also going to pick up another chicken as well, known as a kosher chicken. That's 1 male chicken and 2 female chickens. And what's going to happen here now is that the rooster will mate with the female chickens, and that's going to be 3 baby chickens that will come into our farm. I also got a letter here from the stranger. He wants me to meet him in the plains. So we will meet Siriel eventually, but we'll run around the map first.
Known to you as Siriel, seeks another meeting. With your newfound understanding of the nature of these elves, each encounter takes on greater significance. Siriel asks you to meet him in the lonely plains.
Big shout out to the narrator, you're absolutely amazing. But let's take a look at our chickens here. We can pet these chickens to increase their happiness. We can also feed them hay as well. We're also going to go to the mountain shrine, and we finally grabbed the lobster that we so desperately needed. We can now enter a new world by the name of Silentium. Upon entering, we locate a letter from Duwend. Silentium, a desolate expanse devoid of life and colour. This empty husk of a world remains a testament to their folly. The consequences of ambitions untethered by the bonds of wisdom and foresight. The echoes of Ciriel and Alara's once grand intentions are all that linger, haunting the silence. Still, I have more clues now as to their pattern I would follow. I left a binding stone here amongst the spires, but this maze of a world has concealed it from me. I shall return for it another time. Now, this world is a ferocious maze, and it did take me quite some time to locate the binding stone. It did have rats in here, and one rat dropped the pearl, which is really nice. I also located a chest with a steel bar, and I was very happy with that. We also got another level up in archery, which was a bonus. After a while, we picked up the binding stone, and it was straight back to the farm to hoe up the ground. It was now the first of fall, so I needed to plant 100 crops before winter to get another Steam achievement. I didn't want to go through the whole of winter without planting crops, especially if I had all the other achievements done, because at this moment in time, I was doing pretty well in terms of game progression. So I named the chickens after our channel members. We have Hanlow, Cranebreak, Jin Taylor, and Stacey Schmidt. Stacey is a new addition, and she is the offspring of our lovely rooster and leghorn chicken. I also finally grabbed the diamond. I was able to open up the Everfrost Shrine. Now, this location was basically just a huge ice biome, and the binding stone was fairly easy to find here. We also found a letter as well from Duwend. I am greeted with a biting chill here in the frozen silence of Everfrost. I feel the residual energies of Ciriel and Alara most potently than ever. This place marks the end of my search. I have found them. They have begun creating another world, Iris, and it is there that I will interject my influence and power. Their era of creation ends in Iris, and mine begins. I located the binding stone after wiping out some bears, werewolves, and some other bits and pieces. It was a fairly decent grind to get up here. But once that binding stone had been located, I decided to do some more venturing around to see if I could find any more chests with goodies, but there wasn't much left in the biome, so I left. We then paid a visit to the solitary shrine. We had all of the ingots needed to open up the portal, including the gold and steel ingots. Once we entered this portal, we came across a new world named Serenia, and just like all of the other worlds, we're going to get a letter in this world from Duwend, and obviously he's not going to be happy with how this world came to be. We're also going to pick up the last binding stone we need in this world as well. So after a while of exploration, we come across the final letter here from Duwend that states, "My search continues in the unfathomable depths of Serenia. The chaotic energy of Ciriel and Alara is best witnessed here." So as we can see from this letter, the trend continues. Duwend is not happy with the way Ciriel and Alara are creating worlds. And at this stage of the game, I kind of agree with him. All of these worlds are just desolate places. So for now, we're going to talk to Ciriel, and he has a quest for us. He wants us to go and grab a crown that used to belong to his beloved daughter. So we're going to help Ciriel wipe out a ton of bandits, grab the crown, and then we're going to learn a lot more about what happened between Ciriel and his daughter. But first, we are going to tighten our belt buckles, pull up our socks, take out our sword, and show these bandits who the king of Mirthwood actually is. I can tell you right now, it's not Ciriel. A boar decided to join the battle. It didn't last very long. There was a couple of bandits left, and once we wiped those out, we were able to pick up the crown, and then we were able to talk to Ciriel. And Ciriel will give us a bit of a backstory then on his daughter, Anya. So just to put it shortly, Ciriel wanted to seal away Duwend, and he used dark power to do so. He basically turned Anya into a weapon using dark power, and it did work. They did seal Duwend away. However, the dark power twisted and corroded Ciriel and Alara's lovely innocent daughter, Anya, and she passed away. What's left is just a husk of a body lingering around Mirthwood, and will prey on anyone that crosses her path. We will get a quest later on where we'll have to go and confront her. That's all I'll say about it for now. So let's go back to our cozy farm and pick up all this lovely wheat, flax. We're going to turn the flax into linen. Linen is something we really need to get better armor. We're also going to talk to Alara, and this is Alara's favourite place. It's over on the island here on top of the lighthouse, and she's really happy that we came, and she just wants to thank us for finding all the binding stones, and she's looking forward to us going to Duwend's Valley and putting a stop to him once and for all, so that Alara and Ciriel can travel and create other worlds as they see fit. Alara also told us about Anya and she told us about what happened between Syriel and Duend and the dark magic. So we went back to our farm. We are now going to create a piece of armour here known as the Syrian Brigadine. Now this baby gives us a defense rating of 20. It's a huge upgrade. That combined with the Elven Helm, we are pretty tanky at the moment. We also have a really nice weapon as well, so we're now kitted out to more or less destroy anything the game has to offer. We also speak to Syriel before we go down to Duen's Valley and confront him, and Syriel just explains where Duen's Valley actually is, and he wants us to pierce the heart of darkness once and for all. With 4 binding stones in hand, we put them into this sealed gate. Once the gate drops, we are met with some of the most ferocious enemies Mirthwood has to offer. Not to worry though, we are well equipped and we make short work of anything that crosses our paths. Whether it be hags, wraiths, werewolves, they will stand an inkling of chance against the onslaught of our winter's bite. Once we have all of the enemies defeated, it is time to enter Duend's cave. Upon meeting Duend, we don't engage in battle with him straight away. We have a choice. We can let him live, which will grant us 1 achievement, or we can kill him, which will give us another achievement. This means we will have to play through the game again. And there's no new game plus with this, we'll have to start from scratch. So we ask him a question: why did he curse his land? And he replies, you would name a gift a curse, but what little wisdom you possess to seal away the darkness is to invite banality. A world sterile and without colour, standing still beneath the dying sun until all light has faded. Is this truly what you seek? I then asked him about Anya's fate. The tragic folly of Syriel. He did not tell you. He killed his daughter. In his desperation to thwart me, Syriel turned to the very darkness he wished to seal away. His reckless use of magic twisted and corrupted her, and now she lingers somewhere in this land tormented because of her father. Such is the price of his hubris. I then asked about his vision, to embrace the chaos that Syriel and Alara fear. When they see danger, I see the force of life thriving in uncontrolled beauty. They craft world as sterile gardens, pruned and predictable. A world under my watch would not stagnate in fearful order, but flourish in vibrant balance. Very interesting indeed. I then asked him about Alara and Syriel, and he said, they are not the paragons you believed them to be. You have seen their creations, worlds of terrible lifeless silence. Through this world harbours life now, it will end the same, a void of eternal darkness. It is their actions that have sown discord and suffering. Now, I then had to make a decision. I had to decide if we're going to kill him or if we're going to let him live. I mean, he's, one way or the other, we're going to have to play through the game again, so it doesn't really matter, really. Does it? I decided to let him live, and the reason why I chose this option is because I thought the achievement would unlock. I could then reload the game, and I could kill him, saving me having to play through this whole game all over again. So I was thinking about saving time, but the developers of this game are quite intelligent, you see, because when I decided to spare him, the achievement didn't unlock straight away.
And so Duendi remains, now unfettered by Alara's seal. The weight of your choice lingers. A stillness permeates the air, as if time itself has ceased. Seek out Alara and Syriel in the mountains, and inform them of what has transpired.
So I took a visit up to the mountains, and I found Syriel and Alara, but unfortunately, Alara lies slain, and Syriel doesn't have any words left to speak. I had a few options here. I chose, I am sorry, I just didn't have the heart to choose you deserve this, because in all fairness, he didn't. He says, your sorrow is shared, Varin. Though this grief is ours to bear, we must move forward. There is much to be done to preserve what remains. Somehow, under the weight of all this, I am steeled with a new resolve. The people of Iris were Alara's bond, and now this shall become mine. And that was more or less the big main quest complete. And then the achievement unlocked. So I couldn't reload the game, go back and fight Duend. What's more, I got hit with a minus 50 morality rating. It absolutely destroyed my morality, and I was very close to maxing out my morality, hitting that achievement. So I had a quick look at my morality gauge, and it jumped all the way back down to about 70%, and it's quite hard to get it back up. Now, we were still in the first week of fall, so I purchased all of the crops I could. I wanted to get another achievement, to farm up 100 crops in total. Now you can't purchase hundreds upon hundreds of crops off the trader, you can only kind of get 12 of each crop every couple of days, but once we keep this up, eventually we would harvest over 100 crops no problem. I would like to get it done in this file instead of doing it over in the new game that we have to start up soon enough. I also got a letter here from Cyriel, and basically he wants me to confront his daughter, wipe her off the face of the earth and put her soul to peace. And we will absolutely do that, that's the least we can do. We also get an achievement for defeating Anya as well. But the first thing we're going to do is plant all of our crops. Once the crops have been planted, we're going to head up here, up in the Blue Meadows region, and we are met by a wraith by the name of Anya. And just like all of the other wraiths, Anya has more or less the exact same attack patterns, she just has a little bit more HP. Once Anya gets defeated, we get another Steam achievement. We're now very close to getting 100%, but the rest of the achievements left for us to get are very grindy indeed. At this stage in the game, I reckon I was about halfway through it. There was still many more hours I had to put in. I also found a letter here, and I think this was from Anya herself. It read, "I can still hear the whispers of the trees, feel the warmth of the sun as it once was. But it is all distant now. The light has left me and I am now lost in the shadows. I miss the world as it was, before everything was taken from me. I was not meant for this darkness. I was not meant to be forgotten. Remember me, if nothing else." Quite sad indeed. Now let's take a look at our skills. We need to get every single one of these skills to level 9. Trades is already 9, because that gets XP every time we cut down a tree or if we mine open an ore, and we were doing a lot of that. Melee still isn't level 9, and we've been wiping out a lot of monsters. To get up survival, the best thing to do is to cook tons of food and eat tons of food. Now I didn't know this early on. You know, there isn't exactly a huge amount of information in relation to Mirthwood on the internet, so I had to experiment and find out the hard way. There was a few Reddit posts, which was nice. To level up charisma, we just had to engage in talk with all of the villagers. I found a lovely NPC by the name of Hermie. He is going to end up being my best friend. Just like me, Hermie loves to flirt, he likes a good dirty joke, and he likes the odd scare and tickle. Hermie also doesn't get tired of talking like many of the other NPCs, so I basically spam conversations with Hermie until I max out my charisma. The best way to level up charisma is to just copy the emotes the other NPC makes. So if Hermie boos me, I'll boo him back. If he insults me, I'll insult him back. If he tells a dirty joke, I'll also tell a dirty joke, and that works really well with good old Hermie here. So we got melee level 8, one more level to go with melee, and of course we're just visiting the caves, wiping out monsters. We're finishing some off with the bow as well. We got archery to level 3, we got some new skill cards. Bows deal more damage, critical hit strike increase as well. We also got charisma to level 3, we just get some more boons there for charisma. Eventually, it's going to be a serious grind to get up these skills, and it took me such a long time. There's a reason why only something like 0.2 or 0.3% of the people that purchased this game only have this achievement. I still hadn't beaten 15 Spriggans, so I went back into this world, which was the first kind of portal I went through. I found a chest in here too, which had a gold ring inside it. That was really nice, but I came in here primarily to fight Spriggans. I also had to craft one gold tool to get another Steam achievement, so we're back in the Lonely Plains and we're trying to get that done as well by farming up gold ores. We're now picking up more corn, black seeds, and we're getting some other bits and bobs too, like garlic as well. We also got leveled up in farming. It would be nice to max farming out before winter comes. Because my axe was upgraded to a steel axe, I was one-shotting all these trees. This made wood gathering very easy. I also filled up my house with lots of decorations, just to see what it looked like. Now the portraits were very messy, so I took away all the portraits and I'm going to put a lot of those upstairs onto the second floor, just to make it look a bit better, and I'll move around some of these things as well. All of these decorations were purchased through lots of villages. I also made myself a mill. Now I could have made this mill at the start of the game, I just chose an adventuring route instead. But we can put wheat into this to get back flour. We can also convert meat into animal feed. We can also put corn in for animal feed as well, and we can put barley in for malted grains. There's actually a lot you can do with this game. You can even make your own beers, you can make your own wines, you can make your own cheese. There's a ton of stuff you can do in this game. You can also butcher your animals, and I do butcher a couple of animals, like this leghorn chicken here. We assign it to the coop. Eventually, I get desperate and I want to level up survivability as quickly as possible, so I end up butchering loads of animals to get lots of meat, to cook it up and to eat it. We're also talking to good old Hermie again, telling the odd dirty joke here and there, and that gets our charisma up to a whopping level 5, but there's still a long way to go. A lot more insults are needed if we're going to max out our charisma skill. Thankfully, Hermie is the best buddy around and he has all the patience in the world. If we take a look at his friendship gauge, we're making really good friends. The romance slot is ever so slightly increasing as well, and if the romance locks up a little bit more options get unlocked, such as kissing Hermie, hugging Hermie, and other bits and pieces as well. If we take a look at our skills around the 19th of fall, we got more skill ups here, and this was for leveling up farming. We also get some skills for charisma as well. We get that to level 6, and that unlocks more skill cards as well to make getting charisma up a little bit easier. Now, we don't use a whole lot of skill cards because it's really easy to interact with Hermie, and as long as we just boo him, insult him, tickle him, and tell him the odd dirty joke, he's going to be our best friend. The reason why I was building so many structures and purchasing different types of animals is because I needed to keep my sanity. I couldn't just grind up these skills every single day in real life. It took ages. So I started playing the game on and off, and I started experimenting with loads of different features of the game because, if I'm being honest, 100% of the game for me doesn't necessarily mean just getting the achievements and stop playing it. I wanted to experience everything the game had to offer. So I went ahead and built myself a barn, and I can now put barn animals inside here. I can put pigs inside here, I can put cows inside here. I think you can get goats as well, you can put goats inside there as well, so there's lots of stuff you can do. Now, the animals are quite expensive. Take a look at a cow here. It's 2500 gold, you know? Like, if I want to get a horse, it's 5000 gold. And I'm actually amazed that throughout all my adventures, I never actually got the horse. It probably would have sped things up quite a lot for the increased movement speed. So we're going to give this horse a name. We're going to call it 47 Shotty. And good old Shotty here is going to give us lots and lots of milk. If you don't, Shotty, we'll have to butcher you and get lots of beef instead. It will be good for the survival skill, of course. But for now, we have high hopes. We will be milking you for the foreseeable future. It was time to fight more Spriggans. This one was found in the Old Forest. I found out that the Old Forest potentially could be the only location in this whole game, apart from the portal, where we can find Spriggans. Now, I was still fighting werewolves, primarily to increase my melee skill. Eventually, I'd be fighting these werewolves to increase my archery skill. I just weaken them with the sword and then I just fire arrows at them. All the items they were dropping weren't much use to me, I just wanted the XP. I got farming level 7 today, but it was the 23rd of fall, so at this rate I probably wasn't going to max out farming. I'd probably have to wait until year 2. I got more milk off Shotty today, which was really nice, so I can now use that milk and make a really cool recipe. I decided to make some custard, and that will give me some survival XP as well. I also decided to make a lot more items too, because I had honey stored up, I had apples, I had flour. So anything I could cook, I would cook because it was more survival XP for me. At this moment in time, I didn't realise I could eat food to gain survival XP. This just happened because I wanted to experiment. So a new chicken has been born. A lovely new leghorn chicken with its whole life ahead of it. What will we do? We'll butcher it, of course. And guess what we get? We pick up 15 raw pieces of chicken. That's absolutely amazing. And I didn't even have to buy that chicken. We're now going to turn that chicken into cooked food, and that will give us even more survival XP. And all this cooked food is going to go such a long way. I got a great idea though after I butchered this chicken. I figured maybe it's not worth waiting around to get chicken eggs from all the chickens. Maybe I should just butcher everything I have to speed up survival XP. But I decided to play it by ear, and I decided to just butcher certain animals in the future and not all of my precious animals. I decided to make a shed, and I thought it would be a little bit bigger, especially because of the amount of money I paid to get this built. Every single artisan machine you could make, I put inside this shed. I had casks, I had kegs, I had cheese presses, I had preserve jars, and other bits and bobs. So I purchased the pig, and I was hoping if this pig would be as overpowered as the pig you can get in Stardew Valley. Unfortunately, it's not. I decided to name the pig Jenemy Dragon, another Gamergar channel member. Welcome to the lovely cozy Mirthwood farm, Jenemy Dragon. We're going to assign you to the barn with the cow, 47 Shotty. So every time I came across one of these statues, I donated gold to get my morality back up. I did take a huge beating from sparing a person's life. I was very close to reaching max level morality, and I was also killing Spriggans every time I came across one as well. I was very close now to killing 15 Spriggans, just maybe a few more and that achievement would be done. And in my spare time, when I got bored, I went up and I spoke to my good friend Hermie, and I got my charisma up to level 7. We were tickling each other, insulting each other, telling dirty jokes, having the time of our lives. I was also wiping out enemies, trying to get skill ups as well in melee and archery. If we take a look at the stats now, we finally maxed out our melee skill. We picked up a very powerful passive here. It's called the One Hit Wonder, and if we equip this card, there is a chance if we melee attack someone, it will do tremendous damage. We finally reached max level morality. We got there. It's also the first of winter as well, so we can't grow any more crops. But our morality is now max, and that was one more Steam achievement ticked off the list. The next thing to do was to go and craft a gold tier tool. That would be one more achievement done, but first it was back to killing Spriggans. That was the last Spriggan we needed, and that unlocked the achievement for killing 15 Spriggans. It was now time to steal gold from all these shrines and lower our morality. We had to get our morality rock bottom to pick up another Steam achievement. It's quite easy to do, because we can also go into people's houses and we can steal their items, which will result in a huge loss of morality. It was time to purchase some blueprints. I picked up a war bow diagram. That is, to my knowledge, the best bow you can get in the game. With the war bow in hand, it was much easier now to get some kills, to level up our archery. Archery was only on level 4. 5 more levels to go. This grind was serious. It was extremely hard to skill up any sort of skill in this game. It's just not easy at all. So we're robbing from people left, right and centre. If steel pops up, we will absolutely steal it to get our morality down. We got survival up to level 7 from killing some dares, which is really nice. There's 2 more levels to go with survival, 2 more levels to go with charisma, 2 to go with farming, and 5 to go with archery. So there's still a bit of a ways to go. Now, getting morality down to rock bottom was very simple. It only took us a handful of days, and before we knew it, we unlocked the Steam achievement for getting rock bottom morality. It was quite fun to do actually, because we stole lots of items and we could also sell those items to make lots of money. With that hard earned money, we purchased the gold toolkit and we upgraded our pickaxe to a gold pickaxe, giving us another Steam achievement. Now, with the gold pickaxe, there wasn't any new material we could harvest. It's just the best pickaxe you can get in the game, and it just means that we can harvest the rare materials a little bit faster. It was now time to, unfortunately, butcher Gemini Dragon. You just weren't finding any truffles for me. Now, in all fairness, you did give me a lot of pork. I decided to eat every single piece of pork. Gemini Dragon, you tasted fabulous. And because of all of this pork that we got to eat, I got a ton of survival XP. So it was now time to shoot down more dares to increase our archery skill, but also to increase our survivability. And all of this venison would definitely come in handy. So we finally got our archery up to level 6. 3 more levels to go, but it's going to be a serious grind. We also get some more skill cards as well to make our archery skill that much more potent. The 10% at night was very good. Now, 47 shoddy just wasn't doing it for me. I just couldn't milk you every day, so I butchered you and I cooked you up. Fortunately, 47 shoddy did the deed for me and got me another skill up in survival. That was the fastest skill up I ever got. So when we got to the 25th of winter, we maxed out archery and we maxed out charisma on the 3rd of spring year 2. I just fast forwarded there a good bit because I just didn't want to show you hours of content of me shooting things with arrows or insulting or tickling poor Hermie there. As we can see, we finally got the grindiest achievement I ever had to do in my life. Maxing out all these skills to level 9. It was no easy feat. It was incredibly difficult. Difficult in terms of time consuming. It took me a couple of weeks in real life on and off to actually max out those achievements. It was just a serious grind. I started this game around the 16th of December and I only finished it up a couple of days ago. It was a very, very, very intensive grind. I will never do it again. Was it worth it? Absolutely. It's nice having an achievement that a very small number of people have. So it's time to start a new game. And I'm going to cut right to the end, and I actually managed to pick up quite similar gear. The Elvish helmet, we got a pretty good armour as well. Now, we don't have the weapon we had in the first game. We have a rune sword instead. Very similar in attack power, slightly less potent, but it should do the job. We also saved up a lot of money and we got the lovely unicorn. Let's take a quick look at our gear. As we can see, we've got some pretty good defense. We've got some pretty good attack. The shrines also changed all of their offerings. It was way harder to do the shrine offerings this time around than it was the first time. This time we're not going to listen to Duend and all of his talk about nonsense. We're going to go straight for the kill and wipe this guy off the face of the earth, claiming the final Steam achievement, 100% in this game. Now, this guy was no pushover. He had more or less the same attack patterns as the thieves that you fight throughout the land of Mirthwood, but by God, he had an absolute ton of HP. What's more, every time he lost a certain percentage of health, he would spawn in monsters that we would have to fight before we get to take a good chunk out of Duend again. Now, the first set of monsters were just cave walkers, not just, they were easy enough. But then he started spawning in werewolves, and these things can be quite tough. I mean, they can hit fairly hard. But once we got through all of the ads, Duend spawned in one final time, we wiped him out. Having the warbow came in handy as well because we were able to snipe some of these monsters out. I was very fortunate that I decided to bring some potions with me. I did feel a bit overconfident and I decided maybe no, but those potions really saved me.
With Duendi defeated, your breath lightens, as if waking from a dark dream. Yet the echoes of his malevolence still linger, and shadows of his corruption will not easily fade. Seek out Alara and Siriel in the mountains, and deliver to them the tidings of your victory.
Now, the narrator calls him Duendi. I was calling him Duend. I didn't know it was pronounced Duendi. I thought the E at the end was silent. But hey, it is what it is. We've 100%ed the game. We also get some really cool looking armour. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do with his armour because the game's finished. We then go up to the mountains. We talk to Alara and she says, "My heart lightens once more to see you, Varin. I welcome you in your victory. I worried that the burden you bore would lead to your doom. Yet you have proven yourself worthy even among the elves. Well done." I then went to one of the portals here to see Siriel and Alara off. And that is Mirthwood, fully completed, 100%. It was an absolutely amazing journey, I have to say. A lot of people are on the bench about the game. I say give it a chance. It is quite difficult at the start, but it really does open up and it does get quite good.
And so the time of the elves in Iris has come to its end. Perhaps you will meet again in time. But for now, your journey continues.
I'm sorry, love, but my journey is over. I've done my part. I have 100% of the game. If DLCs come out for this game, I would absolutely get them. It was a magnificent game, probably one of the better games I've played this year. Sure, the game has its bugs, but for an early access game, it was definitely worth it. Let's have a look at the achievements here. 3.9% for defeating Duendi, 0.2% for maxing out all the skills. I mean, that's just a testament to how hard that trophy actually was. I know sometimes I say trophy instead of Steam achievement, it's just a habit, because I love getting PlayStation trophies as well. Big shout out to all my channel members. If you weren't included in the last few videos, don't worry, you will be included in the next one. I hope everyone has a great week. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.